What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Seahawks Now, your home for all things news, updates, rumors, content related to the Seattle Seahawks. Today, we're talking about what could happen if everything went right for the Seahawks in 2025, right? What if it all goes right? What's the scenario where the Seahawks just, everything clicks and the Seahawks turn into one of the best teams in the NFL? We're going to talk about that. Plus, we're talking about Steven Sims and his case to make the roster, and talking about who is my favorite breakout pick on the Seattle Seahawks roster. All right, guys, let's jump into things. What if it all goes right? So I like to read these sort of things where it's almost like a fan fiction of what if every single thing for the Seattle Seahawks in 2025 goes right? What could that look like for this team? To me, I think what it looks like is a couple of things. We're going to go position by position, and then we're going to go down what that means for the winning nature of the team. Looking at it positionally, at quarterback, it means that Sam Darnold has a breakout season. Look, I understand, and it wouldn't even be a breakout. It would be Sam Darnold does what he did last year. I understand wanting Jalen Milroe to be good. I do. But that's not the best case scenario in 2025. The best case scenario in 2025 at the quarterback position is for Sam Darnold to take it and run with it. Last year, he threw 35 touchdowns, career high. I think he can do it again. I think he can throw at least 30 touchdowns again this year. Last year, he kept his interceptions pretty low. He threw 12. I think he can throw around 12 interceptions. If he can throw 35 touchdowns and 12 interceptions again, that's huge. That's better than any season that Geno Smith had in Seattle. Can he be a 4,000-yard passer again? Yes, I think he can. Can he win, maybe not 14 games, but can he win double-digit games? Yes, I think he can. So yes, that would be the best case scenario for Sam Darnold. At the running back position, the best case scenario is that Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet both stay healthy, and they both play like they're capable of. At the wide receiver position, the best case scenario is that at the end of this year, we're thinking that Jackson Smith-Njigba is a legit top 5 receiver in the league, and he can be that. I think he can get there. And we're thinking, Cooper Kupp had a nice bounce back rebound year. And we're thinking, Torrey Horton, what a great rookie season he had. At the tight end position, we're thinking, man, Elijah Arroyo looks like a future star. At the offensive line position, we're already thinking, if in the best case scenario, we're already thinking, how are we going to pay Gray Zabel? Because that guy is going to have a breakout rookie season if everything goes right. And on the defense, if it all goes right, what does that mean for the defense? It means Leonard Williams is following up on his career year last year with an even better one in 2025. Last year, remember, Leonard Williams with 11 sacks, 1 interception, and 92-yard touchdown return. 64 combined tackles. He had a great season last year. If it all goes right, he's going to follow that up with an even better one. It means that Boye Mafe is finally going to have that true breakout season that we know he's capable of. We've seen Boye Mafe get 9 sacks in 2023. Last year, he had 6 sacks. He's going to go into the double-digit sacks. If it all goes right, he's going to get there. It probably also means that Uchenna Nwosu is going to get healthy and stay healthy and have a productive season. It means that DeMarcus Lawrence is going to contribute off the edge with 8 or 9 sacks to his name. It means that in their secondary, Reek Woolen and Devon Witherspoon are both going to be interception kings. They're both going to bring in at least 3 or 4 interceptions this season. And it means that, as always, Michael Dixon is going to be the best punter in the NFL. That's what if it all goes right. And if it all goes right, what does that record look like? I think it probably looks like 12 or 13 wins if it all goes right. Because then you're looking at a team that's very, very similar to who else but the 2024 Minnesota Vikings. A team with a really good secondary, a really good pass rush, a really good wide receiver, a good offensive line, a good run game, and a Sam Darnold at quarterback, a good version of Sam Darnold at quarterback. It's actually very similar to what the Minnesota Vikings were last year. And they were 14-3. And again, did they win the Super Bowl? No. But they were 14-3. So I guess the real question is, if it all goes right, could they make the Super Bowl? Do I see any possibility of this team getting into the Super Bowl? I think my answer there is yes, but I think it's with a caveat. I think it depends on if everybody can stay healthy. If everything goes right and everyone stays healthy, yes, I can see this team in the Super Bowl, but that's hard to imagine because a lot of those guys on the defense, especially those veterans on the defense, do have health problems, and a lot of those guys on the O-line, especially the veterans on the O-line, do have health problems that they've dealt with in the past. So we'll see. But I do think if it all goes right, this team could, again, I'm not saying they will, but they could find themselves in the Super Bowl in 2026. All right, let's move on. Steven Sims. What does this guy have to do to make the roster? Steven Sims right now currently is listed on the depth chart as our kick returner / punt returner. And the wide receiver depth chart, he is listed as the 9th wide receiver. So purely as a wide receiver, Steven Sims is not making the team, right? He's not. He's not one of those top 5 or 6 receivers on the depth chart. So if he's just being a wide receiver, he's not on the team. But he's also a kick returner. Last year, he spent 9 games in the league, 7 with Houston, 2 with Baltimore. He did not catch a single pass. Let's see. Did he do any returning? He did do some returning. He made 21 punt returns for 122 yards and 7 kick returns for 195 yards. So he had a decent season. That was almost entirely with Houston. With Baltimore, he only returned 5 punts and 0 kicks. He also played with Houston in 2023, 4 returns for 49 yards on the punting side of things, and 3 kick returns for 71 yards in 3 games. 2022 with Pittsburgh, he had 17 kick returns for 434 yards. He does have 1 kick return touchdown. It was back in 2019 with the Washington Commanders. And he's never really been that great of a receiver, but he did have 310 receiving yards that year with the Commanders. So with the Commanders, that was when he was best, back in 2019 and 2020. And he's kind of been on the career decline since then. It's very interesting to me to see, is this guy going to make the roster? Because I think you can either keep him around as like, yeah, this guy's going to return kicks and he's probably not going to catch a single pass. That's an option. But if you do that, you're taking away a roster spot from a guy like Derek Young, who probably is actually going to catch some passes. Maybe. Again, it's hard to know because Derek Young, he caught 2 passes in 2022, and he didn't catch a single pass for the Seahawks in 2024. But he's been good on special teams, and a lot of people really like what he's done in the preseason. He had a really nice preseason game against the Chiefs last week. So, I don't know. It's like, do you want to keep a guy like Derek Young? Or do you want to keep a guy like Jake Bobo, who actually has been a contributor on this offense? Jake Bobo caught 13 passes last year for 107 yards and a touchdown. In his career, he has 3 touchdowns as a Seattle Seahawk. That's a guy who I do think the Seahawks would like to keep around. I think they'd like to keep around Jake Bobo. But would that be at the expense of Steven Sims? That's a question. I feel like that's a very valid question to ask. Is like, yeah, how many guys are you willing to keep in addition to Steven Sims? Overall, my prediction, I don't think Steven Sims make the roster, but I think it's close. All right, breakout pick. Who's my favorite sleeper pick to break out for the Seahawks in 2025? So I can't pick the obvious ones. I can't pick Elijah Arroyo. He's pretty obvious. I can't pick Gray Zabel. Who's my favorite sleeper pick? A guy who just, he's going to come out of nowhere and he's just going to be good. My favorite, looking at this roster, looking at the group of guys that they have assembled, my favorite is fullback Robbie Outs. And I know that might be a hot take. And I think, I don't think people are all that familiar with Robbie Outs. Robbie Outs was a tight end at Alabama. The Seahawks are making him into a fullback, which I guess means he's going to block, catch, and run. Supposedly, at least that's what the role of a fullback usually is. Last year with Alabama, he caught 108 passing yards. He had caught 8 passes for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he did not actually do very much receiving for them. But what he did do was he was a great scheme player and he was a great blocker. And there's a reason why the Seahawks wanted him on their roster. There's a reason the Seahawks drafted him in the 5th round, 175th overall. He's a fantastic blocking tight end. And the Seahawks now making him into a fullback. I think that by the end of the season, we're going to be talking about Robbie Outs as the next Kyle Juszczyk, right? A fullback who just changes the way his team is able to play offensively. A fullback who's able to do everything and anything for his team, who gets in the nitty-gritty, does the things that other guys don't want to do, and changes the way that his offense plays. That's how Kyle Juszczyk was able to affect the 49ers offense, and I think that Robbie Outs can do the same thing in Seattle for the Seahawks. So he's my favorite sleeper pick in 2025. With that being said, guys, comment down below who is your favorite sleeper pick for this team in 2025. Guys, as always, I want to talk ball with you guys, so leave a like, leave a comment down below. Until tomorrow, go Seahawks.